it's a new thing. So, first of all, good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
And I hope you're having a great day. I'm sure I forgot a lot of things because when I was a kid, but a lot of things stick in your mind forever. And I mean, it's more than 80 years ago. So think back and all these experiences. So when I was born on July of '39, and the war started on August 1st. So what was my mother thinking, bringing this baby into the world? I mean, what were her thoughts? You know, I can't even imagine. So until I was about 3 or 4, I did not know that there was a war, because where we were in the north of Germany, we did not see the bombs coming down or anything. But a couple of years later, we moved to a bigger city. And I was, I think, 5 years old. And that's when we saw all the things going on, like the tanks going everywhere. Not just straight, they went over hills, and I mean, it was crazy. And when the sirens went off, that meant you better take cover, go in the basement, and we had to wear gas masks. That's the thing that sticks in my mind. 5 years old, and you're putting this rubber thing over you with the filter in the front, because sometimes they put gas bombs down and it would poison you. So this is what the gas mask looked like. I tried to draw everything. That's what we had to put on.
So it covered
Yeah, it was
like
kind
everything.
of rubbery. This was kind of rubbery, and you had the holes for the eyes and the filter just in case there was gas coming down. So, what was next? Oh, the sirens went off day and night. And my brother was 10 years older than me. My dad would go, "Hans, wake up, the sirens are going off." And you know, a teenager, he would sit up in bed, yes, and he went right back to sleep. He would never get up. It was so funny. So, yeah, he would sit up in bed. Towards 1945, when the war ended, we saw English troops marching into the town. I can still see them. We had this alley with birch trees, and they were coming down that alley. And my mom said, "Oh my gosh, they're coming this way." Those were the English. And so we had to move our apartment on the second story of a house because they needed quarters to sleep and stay there. So as we were leaving, my mom says, "Listen, what is going on?" We heard crashes and laughing. They were on the second story balcony throwing my mom's canned stuff down on the patio below, and we had hardly anything to eat, and they were throwing the just for fun. I mean, it was awful. So, and then we lived on top of a grocery store in an attic. And during the summer, it was okay. In the winter, it was so cold up there. There was no heat. And we had to sleep on straw. And my dad had rheumatism. He was always hurting. And I don't know how my mom would warm up sandbags to put on his back and stuff. I still, to this day, I don't remember. And I don't know how she ever cooked up there anything. I don't know. We didn't go out to eat. There was nothing like that. So it was like, that's what I don't remember. And there was no work for my dad. He was a salesman. And I remember the chicken ladder going up. It was just wooden, okay, where's my chicken ladder? Right here. That's what the attic was like. And that's what I remember, going up the stairs. For a kid, it's fun. You know, I mean, it wasn't really that bad. And then I was always have to think that some people had it a lot worse than we did. Like all the people that were put into the concentration camps. I don't know, do you learn anything in school about that here? Probably not.
They do.
Yeah.
I don't, Ben hasn't gotten to it yet.
So,
But the older
yeah.
kids probably
And I
have.
think Auschwitz, if that rings a bell, that was one of the worst ones. But then there was Dachau and so many other ones. And all those people, they didn't do anything except they were Jewish. And that's why they did that. And I just saw a movie that was made in 1948, and it was called The Search. If you ever get a hold of that movie, it really shows what happened. It's this mother that got separated from husband and the kids. She is looking for her little boy, and the little boy they put into a home, and he's looking for his mother. And he runs away through the bombed out houses, hiding from the police going by and everything. So it's a really great movie. I really like that movie. And there was no school, and I didn't know what a banana was until I was about 6 or 7 years old. And I tried a banana and I said, "Oh, this is sweet. I don't like it." To this day, I'm not crazy about bananas. And we would get ration cards from the government. Well, I didn't, my mom did. And it was like, just like little pieces of that you ripped out, and it said, you know, sugar or milk or bread or whatever. And then when you use this up for the month, that was the food for the month, that's all you get. Today, when I go to Kroger's and I have coupons, I'm 5 years old and I'm reliving standing next to my mom with the ration cards. That never goes away. And yeah, I was about 6. Oh, and we didn't get any meat, but every once in a while, I don't know how my dad got a rabbit. I don't know if he shot it somewhere in the land, or I don't know. But he came home with a rabbit, and he would put it on our pantry door. That by this time we were back in our apartment. He put it on the pantry door, hang it upside down, and pull the fur down. That I remember, because the blood was like, oh, running down. Oh, that was good. What else? Oh, and then late in 44, there was an airplane that went down between 2 houses in the neighborhood, and all the kids ran to this place. But the pilot never got out, and it was just a bunch of smoke and metal and fire. That I remember too. And what else? Yeah, the tanks went all over. The bombs were still falling. Sometimes it looked like a carpet coming down because they did not throw just one bomb. It's called a carpet bomb. And what they did is they put the bombs down like this to have a bigger field with what they, like factories and stuff. If they put one bomb, that's just a little piece. But this would wipe out the whole factory. So we saw those coming down. And what else? Oh yeah, this is the airplane. And remember being hungry a lot. And because we did not get vegetables or fruit, I had to take a tablespoon every day of whale liver. It's like an oil, and it tasted horrible. To this day, I know exactly the spot in the kitchen cabinet where it was standing, because every morning, come and take your spoonful of, it was like horrible tasting, just terrible. And then we finally got bread. It was yellow. It was, I think, made from corn, but it tasted bitter for some reason. And my brother started learning his trade. He was 15, 16. And I remember mornings, my mom made fire in the oven. She sliced a piece of bread, put it on the oven, and toasted it from both sides. And that was my brother's lunch for the day. It was terrible times. I mean, yeah, that's the bread. And here's the disgusting whale liver. Yuck. What else? Oh, my mom would go on a train with me. And we would, it's called, what are these called? We would, beech nut seeds. We would pick them up like with a bunch of people that were on the train, and we would spend like half a day just picking up all these seeds under the trees, and then you would bring them to a center and they would make oil out of it. And what else we did when the farmers went and took all the harvest off the fields, they always left some of the wheat tassels with the kernels in it. So we would go and pick up all those, and I don't know what my mom did with it. But in the summer, it was warm and we didn't have shoes. We were barefoot. That hurt when you're walking on those stubbles where the wheat was growing before. And because we didn't, you know, the plants and the big, what is it? The big fabriken?
Factories?
The factories. Oh my gosh, I'm German again. They made war equipment. They didn't make shoes for kids. So to this day, I can show you my toes. See what my toes are doing? They're like crooked because the shoes weren't big enough. So my permanently curled, just like a permanent. So yeah, that was not good. And what else did we do? The beech nut trees. Oh, or we would go on a train and pick blueberries. That was the best because you could eat some. And we finally had some blueberries to eat. And then one day, my mom heard that there's a butcher opening that sells horse meat. And at first we were like, well, by then I was 7, 8. Horse meat, I'm not gonna eat horse meat. And she says, oh, what, just wait. So we would stand in line. It was like going around the block. That's how many people wanted this meat. And it was more red than pork or beef or anything. It was like but then we were told the horses are the cleanest animals. They're cleaner than pigs and cleaner than cows. So there's nothing wrong with eating this horse meat. The best was I would always get a piece of bologna. So I was going with her. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I was about 6 then. Around the block. we would be glad to even have that meat to eat. Oh, boy. Oh, I showed you how these were the tanks going by. Come here, baby. These were the tanks going by. Over everything. They did not stay on the plane, and whatever they ran over, it was gone. I tell you, it was awful. And I brought a picture of some German money for you guys to look at. So maybe you can just give it down the line. So. Can you think of anything else, Tanya?
Yeah, you told me about the soldier reading to you.
Oh, and also, if you were a friend with any of the English that moved into our apartment or something, and they would give you one cigarette, they thought maybe you smoked, my mom would take it to a farmer, and she would get an egg for it. That was the best. Yes.
So they were giving kids cigarettes?
No, not the kids,
Oh.
but if you were a friend, like,
Okay,
my
like an adult,
dad or
okay,
something,
gotcha.
because he didn't work, so he was around all the time. Yeah, and, I made friends, well, I was a kid, with one of the, I guess he liked I had like long braids down to my back. And, he would read, he knew German, and he would read stories, Märchen, what's this Märchen? Like, Hansel and Gretel in German, what is that?
Fairy
Not a
tale?
story,
Like a
a
fairy
fairy tale. He would read those to me, because there was no school, we had all day. Yeah.
You also, like, we watched that Book Thief movie,
Yes.
and you said that, and I asked, you said that was like what it was like then too.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I asked if you were scared of the German soldiers, like were they something that scared, even though you were German?
Honey, the German soldiers were
But you said
fighting
like
away.
the ones that were in the town, like in the Book Thief.
Oh.
And I asked you if you were
Yeah, but those
worried
were
about
not
them.
Germans.
Oh, okay,
Those were the English and
okay.
Americans.
I meant like in that, like they policed when they would come and get the Jewish people and things like
Oh,
that. Was that,
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
soldiers, I guess they weren't the soldiers,
That's
they
like
were
the
the
Anne
SS.
Frank time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that something that
horrible.
even the Germans were scared of them coming
Well,
to?
one
or-
thing, if you didn't have your swastika on your uniform, or you would see some higher up officer that would go by, if you didn't do this, that means Heil Hitler. Have you heard of that? Hitler, the bad guy in Germany, and if you didn't do that, was his greeting, then they could get you, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they intimidated even just the normal German citizens also?
Oh yeah, they would put you in jail, easy. Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
so it was not a good time. You guys have it wonderful, really.
And you said about toys, that Opa would make toys for you.
Oh, there was, like for Christmas one year. My dad was really handy with a lot of things. He made me a store. Oh my God, I never thought of taking a picture of it. But it had whole hams painted with the meat hanging on little hooks. It had all these little drawers, and it said sugar and flour, and it was so amazing. There was a butcher block, and there was a carved butcher with his arm up, holding a cleaver, hitting I don't know how he ever could do something like that, but And then I had a lot of friends all of a sudden, they all wanted to play butcher shop. Yeah. Yep. I forgot about that, Tanya. Yeah.
What about the end of the war? What do you remember about that? Was it a happy time for you guys, or
I don't really.
you don't remember?
I remember that then school started, and we still didn't really have a lot to eat, but every once we would get these big cans full of food for lunch at school. The best one was like a chocolatey soup that had like Quaker oats cooked in it. Oh my gosh, that was the best. Not everything was good, but I remember that. That was really good.
So Uncle Hans was, you said, 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
Was he in like the youth corps or things like that?
Yes. He was in the
You might want
Hitlerjugend.
to tell them what the youth corps was.
Yeah. Hitlerjugend, they taught them how to shoot guns, how to take them apart, how to put them back together, all that stuff.
Making them into soldiers, getting them ready.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you know anybody that was taken to a concentration camp or anything like that?
No, not, but I remember going back to my grandma and grandpa's, and they lived in the bigger city, and they were bombed out. I mean, their whole house was rubble, and for a long time they lived like in one of the bunkers that were built actually for safety when the bombs came, you know, and then later they demolished them, but they had walls like this, and they were just like cement, and long, you know, and you would bring your own chair, and that's where you waited out the alarms. But my grandma and grandpa were a long time in one of those, because they didn't have nowhere to go. That house was gone. Yeah. Any questions?
This is the Marine train that goes under
I just
the water.
appreciate hearing your perspective on it, because as an American growing up with a grandfather who was flew one of the bomber planes, I only ever heard the American side of it. So it's just interesting. I still wish he wrote it all in a notes for a paper I did in high school, and I can't find his notes, and I wish I had him still.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but just, you know, to see his perspective as a Christian man over there,
Right.
and then to hear your perspective, it just kind of gives more of a full picture.
Mhm. Yeah, I always say that nobody wins when there's a war. There are no winners, no matter what.
Especially just for the everyday citizen.
Right.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, they are the ones that suffer, you know.
You can't play with my train.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Ben, you had a question at home, and I asked you to hold it and wait until we got here.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Oh, I don't remember. Well, then it's coming back. Tommy.
Y'all have any questions? Things that you wonder?
Is he gone?
I'm trying to think if there was something else that I remember.
Is there?
So you were talking about the that was the birch alley that we saw when we went to Germany.
Mhm.
That we have
We
the
walked,
picture of you guys.
And we
That's
went
where
to
you
the
saw
bus, remember?
Yeah, that you saw the American soldiers come
That's
down.
where
That's
they
the
came
same
down.
alley
Yeah.
that we walked every day.
Mhm.
Okay. So I can still see. Okay, that's interesting.
And we were in the second story in that apartment, you know, so we could see them coming down. Actually, they were singing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, baby. He's got his tongue out now. It's really hard.
So what did Opa do? You said that he didn't work at that time. That there was no work.
You know, I
You
don't
don't
know.
remember?
I don't know how my mother cooked meals for us.
With-
I just remember that one time, I would always go, the attic that we were in was about 10 minutes from where we lived, you know? And I would still go to see some of the kids that I used to play with.
Right.
So, but one time, my mom told my brother, he was home after 5 or something, to pick me up for dinner. And he had a bike. And you know, 15-year-old. He went and he leaned the bike and I was barefoot. And I got my foot into the spokes of the bike and it was mangled. Oh, did he get in trouble? Yeah.
Because you rode behind him?
No, I was on his back thing.
Oh.
On his, what is it? The
Peg.
The pegs, the little side pegs.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they don't have that here.
Not yet. Some bikes do.
Some bikes do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just not common.
Yeah.
Those little 2 pegs that are on the back wheel.
They're on
that's
BMX
okay.
bikes.
Huh?
On BMX.
Yeah, BMX bikes have them.
Yeah. I think Emily's old bike had those. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was noticing because I was like, oh wow, you don't really see those anymore.
I really want to stand up.
Because we always ride it on the handlebars.
Right.
Growing up.
That's why I was gonna say most people either now they sit on the handlebars, which I think would be hard to steer.
It is. I've
Or to
fallen
see.
many times.
How do you see on the handlebar? Somebody sits there. Yeah. So Benjamin, ask me a question.
That's my question.
That's your question. Your question is
I don't know what it is.
you don't remember?
Aw.
Any curiosities you have? Since you're my documentary person, you have curiosities?
I still need to sit. Why?
Because I didn't want you blocking the camera. That's why I wanted to
She likes your boots.
So
What
cute.
if I just fall over by here?
So I'm just trying to think.
Oh, what he said at home.
Yeah, because I heard part of it. I was brushing my teeth.
It's okay.
Benny, you're right. I can't remember what it was pertaining to. Now that you said the tanks went over everything, do you mean like cars or whatever was in like?
Whatever was in the way.
like we see
they
on
did
TV.
not curve, they
Okay.
went
Yeah,
straight.
this way.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you see that in the movies,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Right, that is true then.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
Lizzie, come here, please.
Ah,
Well, thank you.
That's
Thank
cute.
you.
you.